folks, and welcome to my demonic display of that. So, good Frightful Friday, everyone, and welcome back to another video. Tonight, I have two movies that are really extreme and makes you want to take a shower right after watching both of them. Those movies are House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects. So, these two movies were directed by Rob Zombie, and people have very mixed feelings on both of them and Rob Zombie in general. So I decided to watch both of these movies because they are officially part of my horror project. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about these devilish movies. Let's start off with House of a Thousand Corpses, and this was released in 2003, and it stars the likes of Sid Haig as your boy Captain Spaulding right there. Yeah, Bill Moseley as Otis and Sherry Moon before she married Rob Zombie as Baby. So, they're part of the Firefly family, which is a group of sadistic hillbilly torturers. So, off the bat, any Rob Zombie movie you watch, it's filled with like very crass, dirty, hillbilly, trailer trash humor with a very horrific side to it. And this movie features 4 people who stumble upon Captain Spaulding's Museum of Monsters and Madmen, which is like this run-of-the-mill tourist trap that is owned by Captain Spaulding here, and he has like the best fried chicken and gasoline. And these guys decide to like take a look at this place, and and they notice that there's a ride to it, and it features like some of the most sadistic serial killers ever. You had like Albert Fish and Ed Gein was mentioned, and the eponymous villain in here, Dr. Satan, which surprisingly he only makes one appearance, and you don't even know if it's real or not. But fun fact, 2 of the dudes in here are actually Rainn Wilson and Chris Hardwick. And Chris Hardwick is very hard to recognize because he's kind of fat and he's got like a beard and he kind of looks like a hippie. But he looks different now. But Chris Hardwick was the host of Talking Dead when Walking Dead was on. So, just a little side note there. Going back to the movie, they stumble into this museum and they like try and mess with Captain Spaulding. Well, it turns out he kind of jokes with them and they get away scot-free until very soon they break down in the middle of nowhere thanks to Rufus, which is another part of the Firefly family. He shoots out their tires, and then you have the entrance of Baby. And don't pick up hitchhikers. Even if they are like super gorgeous, just don't do it. So, once all this happens, this movie goes straight Texas Chainsaw Massacre in Rob Zombie's vision. So, I can see a lot of people comparing this to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and like a very horrific true crime scene. But once you get to the house, you figure out that Otis is probably the most sadistic out of all of them, because he abducted like 5 cheerleaders and just did unspeakable horrors to them. I won't get into it because it's a little graphic. But these teenagers or whatever decide to just spend the night, and yeah. And this actually turns out to be like a good Halloween movie because it's set up during Halloween. But this movie is bonkers. That's actually one of the few movies that actually make me feel uncomfortable. But it is a trip. And I mean like an acid trip. Especially the scenes where it goes to like a different type of color palette and it just looks unfinished in a way to like add that scary element. There were scenes in here that were reportedly filmed in Rob Zombie's basement, and this thing just looks very dingy and very cheap. And this movie wasn't really received all that well because of its graphic content, but it definitely had a cult following. So, love it or hate it, I would definitely say to watch House of a Thousand Corpses at least once. But it is a little extreme. So, I forgot about like the whole Alice in Wonderland comparison. So near the end of this movie, it literally goes into like some demonic cult aesthetic where you have like your survivors dressed up as rabbits and they're like literally being hunted by the Firefly family. Well, things don't go good there. So, although it is a very graphic, disturbing movie, I actually really enjoy it quite a bit. So, I would give House of a Thousand Corpses an A. So, those are my thoughts on that. So, moving on to the 2005 sequel, The Devil's Rejects. And off the bat, this movie might be a little bit better than House of a Thousand Corpses. For one, you get more Captain Spaulding in here. So, this movie starts off with a raid at the Firefly family, and it starts off with a raid at the Firefly family's house while the police were doing a shootout, and Otis and Baby are the only ones to get out before being captured. So, Captain Spaulding comes back in, and that's when you know he's part of this family. And they are practically on the run from the law. And this movie is like set up in 3 different parts. You have the capture of the Firefly family, the hostage situation with a new group of people, and then you have like basically like a road movie. And part 2 of this is where it's pretty much like horror, and the 3 meet this like traveling band or whatever in like a motel room, and things don't end pretty for the new group of people. I mean, it's pretty dirty and not lovely to look at. But not to mention there's like a ton of graphic nudity in here. So that's a pretty big red flag for this type of movie. But that's what Rob Zombie's known for, because he has like graphic nudity in almost all of his movies. But anyway, Baby and Otis take these people hostage in the hotel room and kill them one by one, very, very slowly. But Otis takes the 2 men and just literally beats one to death and then shoots the other one. It's very relentless, and Baby is stuck with like the 2 females of the group. She throws a knife in the chest of one, and then she makes the last girl wear the mask of her husband, and she's forced to like run into the road and gets ran over by a truck. It's very, very brutal. Ugh. And then the last half of this movie just literally has our 3 from hell on the run from the law. But I'll get into the ending of this movie here in a minute. You also meet like Ken Foree, which is very close with Sid Haig, and he like runs like some kind of brothel, and they lay low there for a while, but then the sheriff, which was the new appointed sheriff of the brother that they killed in House of a Thousand Corpses, he captures them, and he actually brings them back to the Firefly house. You think he's going to win. He actually comes very, very close too. But Tiny actually gets the upper hand and twists his neck. And that's when this movie comes to a close. And then the ending, one of the best movie endings in my opinion. You have like a montage of Freebird while our sadistic psychopaths drive towards a barrage of gunfire, and it ends in like a Bonnie and Clyde situation where they just get nailed by bullets. But here, like 5 minutes of Freebird, and it's freaking awesome. So they die, but then it gets retconned in 3 from Hell, which I still haven't seen yet. I probably will watch it at some point, but I really do enjoy this movie quite a bit. It is a little bit more grounded in a way, but it still is very, very graphic. Ugh. So, I would also give this an A. And these movies aren't going to be for everybody, but if you like very dark, disturbing stuff, I would definitely recommend both of these. And those are my thoughts on House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects. But then they made 3 from Hell. That'll be another video in the near future, but I just wanted to talk about these 2. So that's all I got for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. And possibly tomorrow I have 1 of 2 videos that I want to film. It could be popular horror books I want to read soon, or a Dark Harvest book versus movie video. So one of those 2 will be up, and then I'll have my rating of The Cask of Amontillado next week, and then I'll keep it under wraps on my next double feature. But I think that double feature that I have in mind might be even more graphic than these 2. And these 2 movies are just straight slasher movies. So stay tuned for that video. I definitely have some stuff to say about both of these movies, but otherwise, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another video. And stay spooky, boils and ghouls, for I am the Crypt Keeper.